Hello, people of SeemsGoodMagic.com. This is Travis Simulant Sowers, and we are going to be joining a Kaladesh pre-release draft league in here in just a moment. Before we do, I wanted to kind of talk for just a second about some initial impressions of the format and like ideas, thoughts. It's worth noting that I usually record these videos on a Thursday or Friday, and then you see them on the following Monday. So right now we're very early in this format. There's a lot of differing opinions. I've played exactly 3 drafts. 2 of them were streamed, 1 of them was in paper. And people have disagreed with me so wildly on some of the picks. And I've noticed after watching some other streams and listening to some podcasts that I kind of disagree with a lot of people on a lot of picks. That said, it's very early in a format. The only thing I can tell you for sure is that anybody that says they figured this out, including myself if I say it, doesn't know what they're talking about. Now, it does so happen I'm undefeated in Kaladesh draft so far, but that also doesn't really matter because like the results don't pave the way, especially when you're talking about pre-release drafts. But the initial thoughts I wanted to get to so you'll kind of understand what I'm going for as I'm going with these drafts is that I primarily only value energy cards that give you a way to spend the energy. And I'm also not really high on vehicles. I kind of feel like the rare and mythic ones are the only ones that I'm interested in because they seem like bad equipment. And I've explained this enough on stream that I think it's worth mentioning here too before we jump in. Equipment can be good in a deck because you attach an equipment to a creature that's mediocre, swing in. If they trade with the creature, you can then reattach it to something else and still use it. If they don't, you can move it over to something else and block with it. Whereas vehicles are kind of the worst of that. If you crew the vehicle with a mediocre creature and they trade with the vehicle, well, now you're just left with your mediocre creature. And if you attack with it, you can't block with it. If you block with it, you're kind of having to hold up it plus another creature. So I'm not super high on the vehicles. I'm not super high on the energy mechanic. The drafts I've done so far was a black-red removal deck. That one was in paper. I split the finals. And then on stream, I did a green-white tokeny strategy and a green-blue energy strategy. And again, even in the energy one, I was really only picking energy cards that gave me an outlet for it, not just stuff that randomly made energy. But anyway, there's a longer intro than has ever been necessary for anything on the planet. Let's draft some Kaladesh. All right, so what have we got here? Now, I'm a big proponent of not taking a gold card first pick. Said I'm really interested in this Voltaic Brawler. So the Courier is pretty meh, even if you get it on turn 1. This card does stone nothing. This is a lot of work to draw 3 cards, which is cool, but I mean, not amazing. There's also a Propeller Pioneer here, and like a 3/2 flyer will end games. So the argument here is, do we take the Brawler knowing there's maybe, what, a 20% chance we play it? However, if we do, it's going to be one of the best cards in our deck if we land it on turn 2. Or we take the Propeller Pioneer, knowing we're bumping that chance up to like 40, and it's going to be solid in whatever deck we're playing. I really don't like first picking gold cards. There's a conversation to be had about, no, there's not. All the other cards here are just worse than the Pioneer. I'll take the Brawler and gamble a little bit, but this does not mean that we are red-green. It just stone doesn't. Like, we're definitely green. No, we're not definitely green. I really like green in this format, if you had not guessed. I did a 9-hour set review on this set, which I think has led me to a good spot. So the rare is fine, not exciting. Aether Meltdown I found to be good, but I kind of don't want to be blue. Whereas Servant of the Conduit's just amazing, and it leaves us potentially an out to play the Brawler, and is, I think, one of the better cards in the pack. I think it's probably, no, it's just better than everything else here. Like, Aether Meltdown is on par if you wanted to be blue-ish. I just like the instant speed shenanigans, but we got to serve that Conduit somehow. It ain't going to serve itself. That's all I'm saying. The first cup of coffee in the morning, just the best cup of coffee. All right, so we're interested in green/red cards if we can get them, although if I see a signal for another color, we'll think about it. Here's some more energy shenanigans. Like, I feel like a lot of the people I've played against have been playing a sub game where they want to see how many energy counters they can get before I kill them. And it just hasn't been good. I don't like Spark. This is another card I've heard wildly varying opinions of, but I don't think it ever does exactly what you want. I do like one Storm Throw in your deck. But I think I'm just going to take the Thriving Grubs. I really like the Thriving Creatures. And the fact that there's like reasonable picks for green and red means we can probably stay here. Like, we're not seeing the premium red cards like burn spells and stuff, but we're seeing stuff. Like, these are certainly playable. Remember, we first picked this, so that's not a signal, but this is just an easy nature's way. Not only does it have a cat on it. Dutch, it's got a cat on it. Yeah. It's also just great removal, and it means green's probably open, and green seems like easily the strongest color in this format to me. I played with the Daredevil in the paper draft, and I only had 2 ways to make artifacts, and it was still just fine. Like, you ain't excited about a 4-mana 4/2, but a 4-mana 4/2 you can trade off and then draw again, that's fine. I also particularly like starting drafts with a bunch of 2-drops. It just means I can pick up something else later and be fine with it. Now here we've got to put ourselves in a situation... No, we don't. I'll just take the Cobra. I'm kind of trying to stick to mainly green, and then we'll see what the other color is going to be. Like, Aether Meltdown is better than the Cobra. I think pretty easily. And I think everyone would probably agree. There's also Thriving Rats, which is probably better than the Cobra. Like, I get that you can trade this off, but like the 2/1, I've played this and seen it run into servos before. That said, it lets me stick with the green train, and we can figure out what the other color is later if it's not going to be red. Here we've got some cards. There's a Restoration Gearsmith. It's not unreasonable to splash, and this card is very powerful. We've seen several of these Foundry Screechers, and I like them. There's also a Thriving Ibex. I like the Thriving Ibex quite a lot. Same with the Wind Drake. I'd like to just take a green card, but there's not one here. Having seen enough black, I think maybe it's time for us to start thinking about a Foundry Screecher. It's just a bad Wind Drake, though. I'm going to take the Goat. That was relatively close between all those cards. That said, we've got some stuff here. This guy's playable. Kind of in any deck. The Bruiser's actually not bad as a beater if that's what you want to do. Inspired Charge can go in a token strategy. I still kind of want to keep the Red Dream open, but I'm okay letting it go. Like, if you're not going to take this here, you're probably just not reading signals, right? Like, we know we're green something. We'd like it to be red. But like, here's a black uncommon super late. Let's take it and figure out what our other color is later. It probably just needs to be black if we're going to get these. I could also take the Prism, which would play nicely in any deck, and can combo with the little white mechanic dudes. But like, this is not a bad start to a deck. Yeah, especially if we're going to see Rush of Vitality super late, another Thriving Rat super late. I think we're probably just in black-green, which is a color combination I have not tried yet, but I expect will be good. We need to pick up some big, beefy bison dudes, but I think we can. I really want a Rush of Vitality, but I think I want the Thriving Rats more. Like, all of these Thriving creatures have just been way better than I anticipated them being. None of these are particularly playable unless you're in blue, and I think we can definitely say we're not in blue. I'm going to take the Scavenger, which is not the 6-drop I want, but maybe a 6-drop we need. These guys, again, not exciting, but it gives us something to do on turn 4. I will probably play 1 Oatmeal Courage. It's not like the best combat trick I've ever seen, but it's fine. Sage, again, I'm not super solid on this card unless you've got ways to spend the energy, but it's okay. Like medium minus filler, I guess. I guess just unplayable, but we'll take it for signaling purposes. Let's So we're not like slamming bombs here, but Nature's Way is pretty amazing. Servant of the Conduit is great if you can pick up some 4s. There are some green 4-drops we'd be very interested in. And all the rest of these cards are just solid beaters / a decent defensive card. Pretty happy with that. So one of my buddies, Evan, tweeted that this card is Dutch because it's a cat that just keeps getting fatter and fatter. It's also a really busted Magic card, particularly if you've got other ways to make energy. Like, you know, I don't know, all these thriving dudes. So I think this is just exactly what we want here. Probably interested in the Dund Operative. If that wheels, it's not super likely to. Subtle Strike is very good. I like that card quite a bit, but we got to start with the Long Tusk Cub here if this is what we're doing, and I think it is. Malphus Squad I like a good bit. Skyskiff is one of those equipments I just think is garbage, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who've had great success with it and think it's an amazing card, but it's like I don't want to spend. Yes, I know servos can crew it. I don't want to spend 2 cards to make a 2/3 flyer sometimes. I think I'm probably just interested in the Malphus Squad or the Rush of Vitality. But like, that's not super functionally different from an Oatmeal Courage, right? I want some solid 4s to hit in case we, you know, have a draw with the Sage. Yeah, I think I like the Malphus Squad here. I could see an argument for taking the Rush, but I never want to value combat tricks that highly. Like, even the best combat trick isn't that functionally different from the worst combat trick in the set. They kind of all do the same thing. So we have figured out that black is open-ish. Because we're seeing Essence Extraction, Die Young, and Subtle Strike. I don't think it's super likely that green is open. I do think we've gotten enough value out of our first picks, and it may be open the other way, like at least a couple seats over, because we did get a relatively late Nature's Way. This is also second pick, so it's like kind of too early to say. I'm going to take the Essence Extraction. The instant speed removal in this format is way better than it's ever been, and way more important than it's ever been. Like, this lets you kill a Renegade Freighter before combat. Like, the crew it, you kill it. It just, instant speed is king, and there's way more of it than we're used to. All right, here's a pick where I'm going to do something and people are going to disagree with it, and I'm totally cool with that. I'm taking Appetite for the Unnatural, and I'm going to main deck it. It's instant speed. I have done this twice when I had access to one, and it's been great. I think Fragmentize is also main deckable. I'm not quite sold on main decking Demolish, but like, I want this. I get that this wins us super late games, but I'm not planning on having super late games. I do need one piece of beef somewhere. I do indeed need a piece of beef. Like, this guy's great if you value all the 1/1s, right? Like, it's at least a 3-mana 2/3, but I'm kind of thinking I should just take a Cowl Prowler as like, okay, you didn't get there, Travis. That sucks, but you need something big to kill them with. Because, like, what am I doing with all the 1/1s? It's a good card. It's probably the best card in the pack by itself. Prism Cycles, that's not good enough for me. I need to want the mana and the artifact and the stuff. I guess I take this guy. I can always just play it as a 2/3 if I need to. Maybe some chump blockers. Like, I really hope that a 6-mana 6/6 isn't my big finish. But it may be. It may be. I've already got a Scavenger that I don't want. I think we're pretty committed to black now. Just like a lot of unplayable blue cards. This is just kind of a whiff of a pack. Like, I don't think 6-mana 4/6s are where we want to be. If this drew you the card, hell yeah. Put in your hand. Of course, I guess it's the only card here we would conceivably play. So that works. Malphus Squad, I like them quite a bit. Do not like Fretwork Colony. I've seen the card be good. Specifically on turn 2 when your opponent stumbles. That's about it. But Malphus Squad I like. Menace being the main reason why. We were also interested in a takedown for the board, but Not when we're at 15 playables late in pack 2. Speculating on that Ibex hurt me a little bit. If I'd taken the black card there, I think it was the 2/1 flyer, we would be in a little bit better shape. But that's alright. Oh, what's up? There's the finisher I want and the finisher I deserve. I might be willing to give Durable Handicraft a go one day. I have not yet, but Pima Outrider is stupid. And it makes me feel like green is indeed open, but it's really hard to read signals. Like, this is my 4th draft ever of the format, and some of the people I'm playing with will be more than that, some less than that, and none of us know. Remember, none of us know what we're doing. This is just something for you to kind of see how one person views the format and one person's play decisions, and then add that to everyone else that you see do this, and then use your brain and think for yourself and decide what you like. But for me, I have first picked this already in this format and have been happy about it. Like, every time you cast it is so good. All right, so I probably would play 2 combat tricks in this deck. I don't think that's what I'm looking for. I think I'm going to take the Mastodon. Like, yes, we can't activate it, but you remember the Wolf 4/5 in Shadows that was just kind of fine? This is just kind of fine. It's not great. And I don't want to play it, but it's a fail case scenario for you didn't hit a better 5 or 6. And like, we've already got 1 Oatmeal Courage. I really want one of the black tricks. I don't think I wanted enough to pick it as highly as I would need to. All right, there's a Cowl Prowler as a fail safe. Like, I have already played this card once, and it did exactly what it looks like it would do. So we'll take it and then hope we can do a little bit better than that. But if we can't, at 6 mana 6/6 is just fine. The deck I played it in also had one of the Storm Throws, and they made quite a pair. Alright, here, none of these cards particularly do anything. I did play, I think, 3 Terror of the Fairgrounds in my red-black deck, because it just had all the removal, and I was like, I'll spend something to kill him with. And that's what I happened to spend. I'll just take a Fog. I'm not main decking it. Rarely sided in, but there's no reason not to have access to it. I have sided in Fogs over the long history of Magic, and in some cases it's the right thing to do. Gearseeker Serpent, I think, is one of the better blue commons, but I need to see one of the rares or like power uncommons to want to go into blue, which is what happened in the draft that I was playing blue. It was just very open. I was getting some of the Scry Energy guys, and then we got past the Control Magic Energy variant. It's like, okay, I will play blue for these cards. Plus, this has a monkey on it. All right, there's the other Oatmeal Courage if we want 2 of those. So, like, we've got some filler cards in here if we need to bring them in. They're like, boss, take me in off the bench. This doesn't look amazing, but it'll probably just fine. I also like to default to having too many 2 and 3 drops, and then being light here going into the last pack. Like, we've got really quality 2 drops in here. Like, this may be one of the better ones you can get. If it's not, the Long Tusk Cub is. And like, we're sitting here with really terrible high end. That's fine. Like, you don't always get to play these cards. However, if you've got the 2 drops, you'll probably always get to play them, and you can survive long enough to play whatever your dumb finisher is. Looks like we got saved a little bit here in opening what I think is pretty damn close to a bomb. It reminds me a little bit of the 1 mana 1/1 in Battle for Zendikar. Or was it an Oath? I can't remember. It was a red dude, and like, if you have 6 land, it starts farting out dragons. So you didn't play it early. You would hold it if you could, and like, if you have to play it and block something, you play it and block something. But like, this is not great on turn 1. It's not great on turn 6, but on a stable board, this can do a lot of work. So I think I'm pretty interested in taking the Life Crafter here. If not that, Certainly tidy conclusion for me. Like, this card has just really impressed me. Again, instant speed, that thing that I want to be dead is now dead. That's a pretty big deal. But, like, here's something that they need to interact with or we win the game eventually. I'll take it. I also picked Blossoming Defense first pick before, because my deck wanted a combat trick and it was a relatively weak pack. Hey, what's up? I've really been impressed with the Seed Sculptors. I have played with Fateful Showdown. It seemed pretty good to me too. I think we just want the Arborback Stomper here though. I have been fortunate enough to play with and against this card, and it's very good. Trample being a big part of what makes it good. We're, I think, too deep into black to consider this, because like I realize we don't have like amazing black cards, but we were getting them stupid late. It's like we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, so we've got a Wild Wanderer, a Mind Rot, Security, Woolly Bandar. This pack kind of sucks too. I don't mind the Wild Wanderer if you're going to do a splash or something, but I mean, we're not in a position to want to splash anything. I guess we're basically looking for curve filler, and a 3/2's fine. It can kill people. Skywhale's a card I would want to play blue for. Yeah, this is a little bit of a whiff, but that's fine. We can play a 3-mana 3/2 with an ability that can be pseudo-relevant late game. Alright. So there's a Hunt the Weak, and then cards that are not Hunt the Weak. Like Underhanded Designs, I think we would be pretty interested in most cases. It's not going to be super easy for us to jam out that many artifacts. We can with the Weaponcraft Enthusiast and Malphus squad, etc. But I don't think it's going to be super easy, whereas Hunt the Weak just gives us access to something we don't have. I would also probably be interested in the Aetherborn Marauder here. We're not like having lots of counters all over the place, but evasion in a deck that doesn't normally have access to it's pretty good, and like it would give us a reason to play this guy, I guess. I'm kind of hoping we can get him out of here too, but we'll see. I found Hunt the Weak to be quite good. There's a Foundry Screecher. I am in on that. There's also that Rush of Vitality I've been saying that I wanted. Yeah, I'm just not willing to pick a combat trick over something that's going to be good. Like now we've got a reason to play this guy. It gives us a flyer, which we haven't had before, and just a solid 3-drop. I wish I'd taken one over the Ibex because I'd play 2. It may look like my deck has too many dudes. What the heck, guys? Really? I was all over here talking like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to take this because we're just passing on literal nothing. I don't even particularly want this against a flyer deck. Like, just try to kill them before their flyers can kill you. Like, this is the type of pick that's like, okay, what have I got over there in blue? Because I don't think that can work, but... So green-blue is where it's at. So Make Obsolete gives us access to something that we don't have currently in this deck. We're obviously not playing that. Whereas Armorcraft Judge is pretty good. It's going to draw us some cards. Don't think it's not, because like the Thriving Dudes are going to have them. I kind of want both of these cards. Yeah, I really want both of these cards. So if I take the Judge, it's going to edge out probably Security. I think it's just too good, but I really like that Make Obsolete, and I'm probably not going to have another opportunity to get one. Take another Rats here. All right. So got draw some cards. I don't really need that. We took some draw some cards here. Edgecrafters I think is going to be better for us than the Cowl Prowler. Blossoming Defense, again, we'd play it. But like just upgrading some of these mediocre cards I think are fine. This guy's fine too. It's not great. We may make room for him. We may not. We will see. Yes, we will see. It's certainly not better than a Stomper. Mind Rot against the control deck's fine. Am I anywhere close to being able to play this? One. Well, that guy just does it. We're not. But sure. Okay, none of these cards matter. So again, very difficult to navigate these early drafts. Like, I didn't see any compelling reason to go into blue until we got a millionth Pixie-Healy's Artistry. I will absolutely play blue for a card on this power level. This card's absurd. We're not in a position to do that because we're just not deep enough on any of the colors. It's, again, hard to figure out what's open, what's not, etc., etc. I think we probably want to edge out the security. And then maybe the Sage. It's not like we're dying for energy. I do like having one combat trick. Like, this looks like a good deck to me. I've been noticing my decks tend to have more creatures than anything else, and it's been fine. Like, as long as your creatures do something. Like, creature draws you cards, creature has menace. Creature cannot be blocked. Also comes with an Armina Can if you want it. Let's really think through whether we would want this underhanded designs or not, because we'd be looking at it as destroy target creature. So I'd have to draw 2 of these cards, right? Or 1 of this card. And then once I've drawn it, I've got to not want to put the counters on them. I don't think I can fit it in. Because this just looks good. Like, I've got plenty of 2s. Again, these guys are a little worse than some of the other thriving creatures. I really wish we had some rhinos, because those are great. These guys are pretty good on the play, pretty bad on the draw. Because if you're getting beat down, they don't do all that much for you. If you can get an attack in with them, though, they do. We'll have to ration our removal very carefully. But like, the Armorcraft Judge is really encouraging us to just put the counters on everything. And then we've got a few things like the Foundry Screecher that's like, hey, maybe you want to make some tokens. What's up? And we've got a bomb, so like we can win late games potentially with that. Like, just untap with enough mana and you can do it. I think there's an argument to play a second Oatmeal Courage or to try to make room for this. We could probably do it, well, I was going to say by replacing this 5-drop with that one, but this still gives us the option to do that. Yeah, I think this is where we're going. I think we're supposed to go 9/8 green. That makes Essence Extraction more of like a turn 5 play. I'm okay with that. I am indeed okay with that. Let's put some basic lands in here. Moto even agrees. Cool. All right. Well, there's draft number 1. I appreciate you listening to my mini rant as well as watching the video. We will be back for round 1 in just a moment. Just a moment.